Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahangsa Parivrajagacharya Astatara Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chandraminda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahangsa Parivrajagacharya Astatara Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shivara Govinda Go Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Shri Braja Bhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Chaitya Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Jamuna Maya Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Srimati Tulsi Manand Ki Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, and Srila Prabhupada. So continued reading from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, opening a temple in Los Angeles. One day while Prabhupada was sitting in his room receiving his massage, he began talking and laughing. As he sat on the floor with one leg tucked under his body and one leg outstretched before him, he told the 2 or 3 devotees present how Krishna, carrying the lunch his mother had packed for him, would go to the forest with his cowherd boyfriends who were also carrying lunches from home. Krishna and his friends would all sit together sharing their lunch. And Krishna always had the best ladus and kachoris. Prabhupada's eyes flashed, and he rubbed his hands together smiling. I simply want to go to Krishna Loka so I can have some of Krishna's laddu and kachoris. I do not have any great diversion from this. I simply want to go there so that I can enjoy eating laddus and kachoris with Krishna and the cowherd boys. Opening his eyes widely, he glanced at Devananda, who was massaging him, and at the others in the room. Oh, he said to them, if you will give me laddus and kachoris, then I will bless you. Swamiji, please teach us how to make laddus and kachoris, the devotees replied excitedly. We will definitely make them for you. Yes, Prabhupada assured them, I shall show you. I shall teach you. And he went on talking in a jovial way. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we were just discussing similar pastime. What does Prabhupada see? So now we see, we just heard directly what Prabhupada is seeing. This is the definition of samadhi. Prabhupada is sitting in his room in Los Angeles, 8,000 miles away from Vrindavan, being massaged by his newly initiated Western disciples. But what is he thinking about? He's thinking about eating ladus and kachoris with Krishna and Balaram in Goloka Vrindavan. So this is transcendental consciousness. This is not for us to imitate. We can aspire, yes. In Prabhupada's room in Vrindavan, and I've said this many times, but it takes on more importance when it's directly related to a pastime. Just opposite Prabhupada's room, if anyone's seen Prabhupada's room, he has a concrete, it's not really concrete, it's called marble chip. They have this type of process where they mix marble chip with white cement, and then you can create anything, furniture, backdrop. So Prabhupada has a nice seating place with his desk and a fireplace, and just opposite him is this huge painting of Krishna and Balaram entering the forest of Vrindavan. It's not a picture of Ras Leela, not a picture of, the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. It's a picture of Krishna and Balaram entering into the forest of Vrindavan. And then Prabhupada exclaimed to the devotees that this picture is the perfection of the eyes, this vision, this seeing. To see, and how is that? Of course, we can say so many things. But of course, this is from the seeing from the eyes of the gopis. For the gopis, this is the perfection of the eyes, seeing Krishna and Balaram enter into the forest of Vrindavan. But it's also the perfection of the eyes for the cowherd boys. Each has different expectations according to their rasa. Cowherd boys, Prabhupada wants to go eat ladus and kachoris, like that. The gopis want to have the rasa dance. Both are seeing Krishna and Balaram entering into the forest of Vrindavan. It's very intimate pastimes. We were very fortunate to have the association of someone on that platform so that we can get an idea how this is not some imagination. To understand these things. Who has read Brahma Samhita here? I know, of course, Prabhu has. Anyone else has read Brahma Samhita here? Yet? Not yet? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta very carefully explains how the spiritual, how Goloka, Gokula, and Bhumandala are all on the same platform, 180 degrees. So how is that possible? How are they coexisting simultaneously? How is the spiritual world in your heart? Shri Shwara Govinda Dev Ki Jai. So these things are not bound. Krishna is not bound by three, what to speak of 4 dimensions, what to speak of 3. So these things, time and space, they have no bearing on the existence, according to our calculation, of the spiritual realm. So dimensionally speaking, we are all on the same platform. The spiritual world is here, but we cannot see it. Just like we cannot see certain colors that are invisible to the spectrum seen by the human eye. Just like we cannot hear certain sounds which are beyond the frequency of human hearing. But even dogs can hear that, and birds can see in so many different colors, but we cannot. So we cannot see the spiritual world here. But from the lips of a pure devotee, we get the benefit of his vision superimposed on our attempting to be purified senses. So this is that tadara jastamo bhava kamalobha deyasche. So as one rises, elevates himself above the material modes of nature to the platform of Shuddha Sattva, then he becomes eligible for knowledge. Right? Bhavanam jamanamante gyanavama prabhadyante vasudeva svavamati samahatma saduma. After many, many births, he was actually in knowledge. After many, many births. So don't be impatient. You've already had those many births, otherwise you wouldn't be here. This is the thing. You've already had them. And so now it's a simple matter of purification. And that's exactly what we're doing. This is not just some imposition. You must control the senses. You must chant 60 rounds. Yes, in the beginning, the order of the spiritual must be there. But at a certain point, one understands he has the taste. Right? We're saying the taste for which we are always anxious. But then Lord Chaitanya is lamenting, but I have no taste. So what to do? Keep chanting. Keep chanting. So it's a very auspicious day today. You have the appearance of the dwarf incarnation, Lord Vāmana. Good things come in small packages. That's the purport. Of course, he appeared first as four-handed Vishnu, complete with his weapons, and everything was there. But then, just like in the prison house of Kamsa, he transformed himself into the most beautiful Brahmin boy, Lord Vāmana. And of course, these pastimes continue through with Bali Maharaj, but just in his appearance, the fact how he manifests within our vision, because Krishna is technically everywhere. But at a certain point, according to the devotee's desire, he manifests before them vision. So Krishna is manifesting before you also in the form of the Archa Vigraha. But you have to develop the eyes to see. You have to develop the internal, the Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. This eyes tinged with the salve of love, not these material eyes. Everybody knows what that cudgel is, right? You see in India especially, they put the cudgel tinged with the salve of love. So this cudgel is made to protect the eyes. Does anyone know what cudgel is made from? Ghee and camphor. So they take this from the ghee wick, you light it, any ghee fire, and you catch it on the spoon, and then you have the camphor, a little piece of camphor, melted camphor, and you mix it with the blackened soot from the ghee lamp. And that becomes the cudgel. That's why it's blackish. So that protects the eyes from disease and infection, things like that, things which are prevalent. Cudgel. So Krishna's eyes are always decorated like that. Mother Jashoda takes very good care of baby Krishna. She's always protecting him, and in many different ways. You see, so many things are there culturally that we don't understand. How she's protecting him from even the evil eye, right? Nobody knows. The first time you went to India and you saw a child with a black dot on the side of his head, what did you think? Who knows? Do you know what that's for? That's so that the demon, the evil spirits they see that, and they don't see the form of the child. They get distracted. They're easily fooled. And is there another explanation from Pakistan?
Oh, that's what I've heard. It's to protect from the evil eye.
It's to divert the evil eye. Anyway, so many little cultural things are there. So for us, we can easily become free from these. We don't need these traditional cultural things to protect us. We simply have to take shelter of the holy name. And so we see that from taking shelter of the holy name, great devotees were able to invoke the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their child. Prabhupada mentions that when they're praying to Krishna that to please become their child, to have a child like Krishna. Prabhupada said, there is no child like me. There's no proxy. There's no substitute, right? It says, I have to become your child. So the Supreme Lord is so favorable to his devotees that he'll even become their child. And that rasa, one who has experienced that even in the material world, the love between the mother, father, and the child is a very, how can you say, unadulterated bond. It can never be checked, technically. You know, there are some circumstances. Now it's Kali Yuga. That's different. But in general, the parent's love for the child is unbreakable, unconditional. And so has to be our mood as well. That if we want to get Krishna's pleasure, we have to develop this favorable, ohaitikya pratiyata, favorable, uninterrupted, unalloyed, and favorable. So this is the definition of devotional service, not unfavorable. There's no such thing. Does there anyone know of such thing as unfavorable devotional service? If it's unfavorable, it cannot be. There's meditation. Kamsa was meditating on Krishna 24/7. But it was not favorable. But he got liberation. Krishna is so kind. Of course, that's a special pastime. But we see that all these participants in Krishna's pastime received such benediction because they're not ordinary jivas. They come on behalf, because there's no demons in the spiritual world. Krishna wants to fight. He wants to have these remarkable pastimes. He wants to have them so that they're available for everyone to speak about them in awe and wonder, unlimitedly. Instead of reading or watching some mundane movie or TV show, right? People are saying, oh, the 7th season of such and such is coming out. Some people have been watching this TV show for 7 years or 10 years. Just imagine the dedication. And they know every intimate detail, who all the players are, what happened, how they got to that stage. Every single detail. And if they had just read Mahabharata, all right, Stri Sudra, this is the whole point. Dvija Bandhu, that for us to absorb ourselves in Krishna's Leela is the perfection of our lives. Because that brings us closer to Krishna, so that we're not, it's not a foreign thing, so that when we see what's going on in the temple, for us it's not foreign. For someone else who comes outside, this is very strange things going on here. People are waving lamps in front of these statues and peacock fans and chamas. What's going on? What is this? It's magical, actually. Does it happen continually? So if you think about it, this activity is going on continuously since time immemorial on one plane or another, whether it's the earthly plane or the demigod plane or the spiritual plane. These things are all going on continuously. Just like Guru Puja, just like we're worshiping the spiritual master. In temples, thousands of temples all over the world, Guru Puja is being performed. So in that respect, Srila Prabhupada is the most worshipped person in the material world. For good reason. But it's not a fanatical, cultish thing that we do. But it's for the person who brought Krishna consciousness to the Western world, to the entire world. It's the least we can do. It's the least we can do. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitteti Kuriya. Otherwise, we have no access. Right? If you want to go pay money to get into a venue, it's unbelievable, but someone was posting that you can get tickets for some concert. The tickets cost $10,000. $10,000 to pay to see some woman prancing around on stage in some clantily, costume. $10,000. Who can imagine? The revenue from one such show, we could probably build half the building next door. But people are so foolish. Maya has them so bewildered that they will go to such lengths to be entertained for a short amount of time. But ultimately, it all stems from our desire to want to see the original pastimes of Krishna. But we don't have any access to them. But here we do. When we're selling these books, Srimad Bhagavatam, we're giving people the opportunity to achieve the highest goal possible in the human form of life and be completely enlivened doing it. Because these stories are filled inspirational examples how these great personalities received Vāmana Dev in the court, in the sacrificial arena of Bali Maharaj. You know, how these things, how we should receive the pure devotee. The same process, to bathe their feet and to take the water on our heads. So we're gradually learning. So Prabhupada said up to the first 9 cantos. If one reads the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada said you'll be self-realized. Self-realized. And then, of course, the 10th canto, the Summum Bonum, becomes accessible to you. You've mastered, you've matriculated. Now everything is open to you. The foundation has been laid. And it won't appear to be something, how can you say, phantasmagorical. It's real. But you have to have the combination of faith and knowledge has to be there. What did Srila Bhaktisiddhanta say? That faith without knowledge is sentiment. And knowledge without faith is mental speculation. Is that the correct, or do I have it?
Science.
So we have to understand, though, basically what that means. So knowledge without faith is mental speculation. And faith without knowledge is sentiment. So both have to be there. And this is exactly how we're achieving this. We don't have blind faith. Prabhupada was very clear about that. Sometimes people would, because it says that we have to accept things as they are. Bhagavad Gita as it is. We can say that just even in the very beginning, where it says Sanjaya Uvacha, and Sanjaya gives a whole description of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but he's not there. He's hundreds of miles away in Hastinapur. And Kurukshetra is a completely different section of that province. Right? But he has perfect vision. He has the ability to see things as they are through this mystic siddhi. You know, people just like now, people say, oh, they're, what do they call them? People who see things, psychics. Not psychos, psychics. Some of them are psychos. So they have some ability to see things. And many people claim this.
Remote viewing.
Most people claim, but most are not there. But Sanjaya obviously had this mystic siddhi. He could see everything unfolding on the battlefield, Prabhupada said, like closed circuit TV. Just like now and what's the thing? Now it's being transmitted by an inferior science of radio waves or so-called television waves or satellite broadcasting. These things are all mechanically dependent, atmospherically dependent. But the mystic siddhi, which it achieves the same purpose, is not dependent on anything except one's own internal supernatural ability, which everyone has. But it's limited now in Kali Yuga. We don't have access to it. You know, you have those guys who go on the shows and they bend spoons with their mind. I don't know why they pick spoons, you know, on the TV show. Why not something else? But anyway, and they're thinking, and somehow or other they've got some siddhi there. We don't know. But the fact is, such powers exist. And the thing is, he's bending a spoon, but Sanjaya could see, what's going on hundreds of miles away. And, the Brahmastra weapon is a mantra-charged weapon. The arrow is just a vehicle. The mantra is actually the weapon. Just like the missile is the vehicle, but the warhead is the weapon. So in this way, so many things are going on. And if we extrapolate carefully using the knowledge we have from the ancient perfect scriptures and look at so-called technology today, you see that this is all just a perverted reflection, an imperfect perverted reflection. You know, the Brahmastra was so accurate, it could pinpoint a child within the womb of the mother and only kill the child. But who can imagine how amazing that is? Because the Brahmastra is a nuclear weapon. It has the potency to destroy cities, what to speak of just, but it can be so surgically applied that it can just kill the fetus in the womb. So yeah, these things are very interesting from many perspectives. Nonetheless, of course, we should read a little bit about the appearance of Lord Vāmana. We have the Lord agrees to become Aditi's son. Chapter 18. Well, you have to be amazed. If you're not amazed when you open up Prabhupada's books, 8th canto now, 611 pages. 611. With the index, 979 pages. 979 pages. Absolute knowledge. Such a gift to the modern world. Who can imagine? And Prabhupada was translating at that desk in that museum across the hall. Chapter 18, Lord Vāmana, the dwarf incarnation. This chapter describes how Lord Vāmana appeared and how he went to the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Bali, who received him well and fulfilled his desire by offering him benedictions. Lord Vāmana appeared in this world from the womb of Aditi, completely equipped with conch shell, disc, club, and lotus. His bodily hue was blackish, and he was dressed in yellow garments. Lord Vishnu appeared at an auspicious moment on Shravan Dvādaśi, when the Abhijit star had arisen. At that time, in all the three worlds, including the higher planetary systems, outer space, and this earth, all the demigods, the cows, the Brahmins, and even the seasons were happy because of God's appearance. Therefore, this auspicious day is called Vijaya. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has a Satchidananda body, appeared as a son of Kashyapa and Aditi, both of his parents were very astonished. After his appearance, the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf, Vāmana. All the great sages expressed their jubilation, and with Kashyapa Muni before them, they performed the birthday ceremony of Lord Vāmana. At the time of Lord Vāmanadev's sacred thread ceremony, he was honored by the sun god Brihaspati, the goddess presiding over the planet Earth, the deity of the heavenly planets, his mother, Lord Brahma, Kubera, the 7 rishis, and others. Lord Vāmana then visited the sacrificial arena on the northern side of the Narbana River, at the field known as Bhrigu Kacha, where Brahmanas of the Bhrigu dynasty were performing yagnas. Wearing a belt made of munja straw, an upper garment of deerskin, and a sacred thread, and carrying in his hands a danda, an umbrella, and a water pot, kamandalu, Lord Vāmana appeared in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Bali. Because of his transcendently effulgent presence, all the priests were diminished in their prowess, and thus they all stood from their seats and offered prayers to Lord Vāmana. Even Lord Shiva accepts on his head the Ganges water generated from the toe of Lord Vāmana. Therefore, after washing the Lord's feet, Bali Maharaj immediately accepted the water from the Lord's feet on his head, and felt that he and his predecessors had certainly been glorified. Then Bali Maharaj inquired of Lord Vāmanadev's welfare, and requested the Lord to ask him for money, jewels, or anything he might desire. So this is like setting the scene. What comes next? The Brahmins, of course, Bali Maharaj is Daitya. It means he's born in a family of Daityas, and the Daityas are typically the enemies of the Devas. Right, so we know but he appeared here in this family, just as Prahlad Maharaj also appeared. So there's no restraint, there's no restriction on the Lord's appearance. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvataha. Jaktvadayam punarjama naiti mamiti sarjana. One has to know exactly how the Supreme Lord, why the Supreme Lord is appearing. And this is why there's such reading, is that you're not left without the understanding. Just like people who casually try to, there are so many different, in Shravan Mena and this Mena, they have these saptaha, there's reading of Bhagavatam. In Vrindavan, every bagich, every garden, every place has some sadhu speaking on, what else? Rasa Leela. Only Rasa Leela. Never first canto through 9th canto. Never. Only 10th canto. Because they think that by some, by the sound of their own voice, they can transmit transcendental knowledge? No. This is not Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Teka. They're not authorized. They're not in the line. They're not in any line, for the most part. Maybe some of them have some predecessor teacher. But that person may also not be in a bona fide Evam Parampara Praptim Imam Raja. Why such emphasis is placed on Parampara? Because their integrity, just like someone may, they have, pick any example. They have so many people that say, well, this brewery has been in operation since 1635. And so what's the point? It's an old brewery. It's because the formula has been transmitted carefully down for 600, 700 years without deviation. Therefore, the original flavor, which made it famous, is still present. And that's just a mundane thing, and a really mundane thing, so to speak, like that. But nevertheless, it gives an example of why this integrity of transmission is important. Not just important, it's essential. It's not bound by time or circumstance, time, place. Not that it's important now and it's not important later. No, it's always important. It must be correct. How fortunate, even when I was a young boy taking martial arts. You want to know, who is your Sifu's Sifu? Who is your teacher's teacher? You want to see the line. Who does it go back to? Does it go back to Ip Man, who was famous as the guru of Bruce Lee? Yeah. Does it go back to Yamaguchi, the cat, the father of karate, modern karate? So you have to know who is the person you're getting this knowledge from. Otherwise, what's the point? Anybody could just open up a school and call himself put on a black belt and say, I'm a teacher. No, he has to show, no, my teacher, this was my teacher, that was his teacher, this was his teacher. Otherwise, why am I going to pay you money? So we're very fortunate. There's no charge here. The only charge here is surrender, which is a very high price. Many people will not be able to do it. Surrender takes place mostly in the brahmacharya ashram, initially. If you have not been in the brahmacharya ashram, your ability to appreciate what is surrender is, how can you say, challenged. Because you've never been a menial servant. You've never done just anything that's been asked of you. You've always got like, oh, well, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that. That's not surrender. Spiritual master says, go collect wood in the forest. You go collect wood in the forest. And in the process of collecting wood, a storm comes and you're stuck outside. Or you go on Sankirtan and the van forgets to pick you up. It's happened. And you think, what do I do? In those days, there's no cell phones. You have to walk around till you find someone, some nice storekeeper who'll let you use the phone, and then hope you'll get through to a reception, because half the time there's no one there to answer the phone. And that's always been the case. This is one of the ISKCON, one thing you can count on. And so sometimes you're out there. And then finally they remember, wait a second, where's Prabhu? He's not here. It's 10 o'clock at night. And, oh, we forgot him. Got to send somebody all the way out to Woodbridge, New Jersey, which is where we used to do the lots. Call them the parking lots. So these things happen. So these are pastimes. But what do you learn from that? You learn how to be, this is all Krishna's arrangement. What happened in that time span when they forgot to pick up? Because usually the band comes, whatever, 5, 6 o'clock. Because you had to be back in the temple for Sundar Arti, for Gora Arti. That was the routine. Everyone was back in time to get ready for Gora Arti. Because Gora Arti was the sandwich. Prabhupada, morning and evening program. Prabhupada called it the transcendental sandwich, which is why we started Bhagavad Gita class at night now. But everybody should also be there for Gora Arti. Very enthusiastic, shaking the floor, showing Krishna. What are we doing this for? We're there to demonstrate to Krishna that yes, I can completely surrender if you allow me. So these things, they become easy, like being out there like that, doing all the work, the menial activity. This is like money in the bank. Brahma Tejas. What do they say? Austerity is the wealth of the Brahmin. What does that mean? What do you do with it? Do you go into a store and say, here's my austerity? Can you give me what I want in exchange? No, what does that mean? It means that when you need to have the strength to execute your duty, you will have it at your disposal. Just like Maya is waiting to assist the pure devotee. She's not there to challenge him like she challenges us. She's a maidservant of Krishna, and therefore the pure devotee, as a servant of Krishna, she's his maidservant as well. But we have that ability to tap into through the agency of our austerity. And so this is why it's necessary to get up early in the morning to take cold bath. And Prabhupada reinforced that when he was talking to the WHO. Anybody know what the WHO is? World Health Organization. Have their headquarters in Geneva. He was talking to this WHO official, and he was saying that these young boys and girls in America at that time, they rise early, take cold bath, and chant. Because in those days we all took cold bath, by Prabhupada's example, by his instruction. Now it's become sort of optional. But it's only optional if you don't want to have the same benefit that the people who are now your gurus had. How did they achieve that position? It wasn't by avoiding service. It was by engaging in the most difficult aspect to challenge their false ego, to learn how to put this selfish desire for sense gratification to the side to please Krishna's senses. Rishikena sevanam bhakti ruchite. So all these things are, whatever they are, little, they may appear inconsequential. Someone say, cold shower. What is that? I don't need to do that. But then what's next? I don't need to chant 16 rounds. I don't need to get up before Mangalarti. I don't need to attend Mangalarti. I just have to make a show. Do some service sometimes. Show my face sometimes. No. This is a danger. We've seen it. We're not speaking just theoretically, hypothetically. This is Prabhupada giving us instruction. We're reading daily downstairs at Prasadam. What are we reading? Letters to the devotees. What are these letters? Prabhupada is telling them that you must behave like this. You must act like this. You must organize like this. You must manage like this. He's taking us step by step, externally and internally. It's not that, we're not getting these realizations. We don't want to say that this is instruction, but Prabhupada, he was saying today, when I was listening to the lecture, on the Vyas Puja day, when they found Prabhupada's poem, what was that? Sweeter Than May. Prabhupada said he thought it was lost, and then the devotees found it, a copy of it. He'd written in 1936. So he was expressing how, he, in many different ways, how he came to develop this unflinching faith in his spiritual master. And a lot of it had to be, he said, he met his Guru Maharaj when he was 25 in 1922. He didn't take formal initiation until 1933. In the course of that time, he was a Grahastha and he was running a business in Allahabad, Day's Pharmacy, big enterprise. He said, but in that time, he always thought of he said that the initiation took place at the moment that he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, because he gave him the idea. And he meditated on that idea. And by that meditation, there was no hesitation on the part of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And in the course of that time, he said his spiritual master appeared to him many times in dreams. Many times. And he thought, oh, how horrible, I have to take sannyas. So these are dreams of a different nature. We may get some similar, but these realizations are coming for one who is sincere. He has to have no other desire than to want to fulfill the order of the spiritual master. If that is his desire, and we're talking not just, every one of us has a mentor now. But the order of the spiritual master, when we say this, it means the order of Srila Prabhupada. Someone should be clear on that. Okay? One may have its intermediate orders. My guru said I should do like this, do book distribution, do like that. But the orders that guide the entire society, that are the law books for 10,000 years, are the instructions of His Divine Grace. And so it is by meditating on these orders, one will rise to a level that cannot be achieved through intermediate levels. One has to read Nectar of Instruction very carefully. Has everyone read Nectar of Instruction very carefully? Okay. If you've read it very carefully, then you have an understanding of what to expect. No surprises. And so therefore we have Prabhupada's books to guide us, in thick or thin. Regardless of, as Prabhupada said, don't be surprised who leave, be surprised who stays. Anything could happen. So there could be a conflagration, a catastrophe, devastation, nuclear holocaust. But if these books survive, then the mission survives. 9,500 years left in the golden age of Kali Yuga. 9,500, we don't even have history now of 9,500 years of human civilization. It's there, but they don't know where to find it. It's here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But their written history is nothing, 5,000 years. So if everything was destroyed tomorrow, but somehow or other, everyone know what the Bhaktivedanta archives are? Bhaktivedanta archives? In North Carolina, there is a project that has blast-proof containers with Srila Prabhupada's books, digitized, scanned, microfished, microfilmed, every possible format. Because there may not be computers after a Holocaust. So digital is, but microfiche, all you need is a simple projector with a light bulb. And you can even, it's tiny, but you could even technically read it without it. So in every possible format, Prabhupada's works are preserved. That's how important they are. Even if there's a nuclear holocaust and everything was destroyed. It's like what happened to the library at Alexandria. It's gone. That was the compilation of all the knowledge up to that point in time. Totally wiped out by the savage hordes who wanted to impose some savage religion. And all religions are savage compared to the Vedas. But the devotees have taken great care to preserve this, including the books, in that same hermetic environment that will take that totally protected, climate controlled, Standby, of course, generators, once they run out of fuel, they're out. But other things will persevere, depending on how long. So important are these works. So we should never take it for granted or take it lightly. And the key to these is your ability to set aside one's personal ambitions to serve the spiritual master's mission. And the mission of Srila Prabhupada to distribute these books far and wide will never change. It will never become something else. No one will ever say, no, now we're going into a different phase. And we're going to do something else. We've tried that already. Right? Remember? Paintings, records, stickers. We've already done all that stuff. Paraphernalia. We used to call it paraphernalia. But this is not the way forward in the future. We need to present everything as it is, and those who will take it, they'll be benedicted. And gradually this knowledge will spread, there's no doubt. This is as it has now. It will continue to do so. But you have to take it seriously. It is not a book religion. It is not meant to be meditated on in an academic way. It is meant to be applied and implemented practically using this vehicle, this body. This body is the vehicle. What is that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped. Who did he stop from throwing under the Rath cart wheel? He wanted to commit suicide. Sanatana Goswami. Why did he stop it? What did he say? This body does not belong to you, it belongs to me. I need to do things through your body. So what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? He says, Nimitta matram bhava savyasachan. He tells Arjuna, what? Just become an instrument. Doesn't tell him to become a jnani, a yogi, whatever. It's whatever Krishna wants. Just become an instrument. So this is what we have to identify with. We have to see ourselves as an instrument, not just some independent, no, I'm construction, or I'm office work, or I'm this, or I'm that. No. I'm whatever Krishna wants. But how do we know what Krishna wants? Through the spiritual master and the spiritual master's representatives, through the GBC and his representatives. There's a hierarchy. Otherwise, there's chaos. Some people like chaos because they can hide in chaos. Nobody will bother them. They'll say, no, I'm in my little corner here. Don't see me. Don't put me on the schedule. Like that. So we have to become willing instruments, not just, how can you say, hesitant instruments. That you're only an instrument when I find you. One should be front and center, ready to do whatever the spiritual master wants. Do I have extra time? What can I do? There's many things that you can occupy yourself with, but is it important for the mission? Someone could say, I have to cut my nails. Okay, something that has to be done every once in a while. Or for the ladies, I have to paint my fingernails. But maybe there's more pressing things to do. Maybe that 2 hours. Yeah, maybe there's some time you need, Everybody has to do their little personal things. But it should not be such a self-absorbed activity to the exclusion of everything else that I'm fully concentrated on me as a body. We're trying to minimize the bodily consciousness. And whatever helps is a friend. So we have to find those things which are, and make them useful for us. You gather certain things, just like a survivalist. He knows I have to have certain things with me in order to be in the wilderness. I have to have the means to make a fire. I have to have certain instruments, certain implements, whatever. A nice knife, a certain amount of paracord, things I need, whatever, to make a temporary shelter, to make a fire, to survive. So everyone, we have to know what it is. What is it that's going to help me survive in Krishna consciousness? I have my main instrument, my main help is my ability to chant my 16 rounds with focus and determination, even when I'm not feeling so good. You know, because this body, it has its ups and downs. But that's why habit becomes second nature. That's why one practices to get up, even if he's tired, even if he only slept 3 hours that night. He still gets up. Why? Because that's discipline. There was no such thing in Prabhupada's time that somebody didn't come to Mangalarti. There's no such thing. Oh, Prabhu, I was out late last night preaching. No. No such excuse. If you told that to Prabhupada, you could expect to be put into such a position that you would wish you were not born. I'm getting to that point. Actually, it's 9 o'clock, so Prabhu gets first opportunity for questions. There wasn't a shloka. It's a free form. So I can entertain any question, especially from Amoga Leela Prabhu.
It's not a question, it's just a comment, on attending Mangalarti.
Yeah.
When Srila Prabhupada was in Juhu, this issue came up as we were constructing the new high-rise guest tower. So Prabhupada had all along said, everyone must attend Mangalarti. And if somebody misses Mangalarti,
No prasadam that day.
exactly. If somebody misses Mangalarti,
This is how we were trained.
they don't have prasadam.
No prasadam.
And Srila Prabhupada explained that. He said, if somebody misses Mangalarti, it means they're sick. That's what devotee was told. I was sick. Definitely no prasadam. If you're sick, you shouldn't eat. So, I mean, this was kind of setting it. Srila Prabhupada said, even if the life members are staying in our new guest house, they should also attend Mangalarti. So important.
Yeah, and the schedule is posted on the doors and those towers. And we know devotees. Everyone who's been a temple commander knows the difficulty of waking people up and getting the angry faces when people don't want to be disturbed. But it's your duty to make sure that everybody is up. So therefore, as whatever distasteful as it may be, you must perform your duty. So this is, here's a little thing, Prabhupada said, little rules and regulations, right? That's what one devotee asked. He didn't expect that answer. So how does one make advancement in Krishna consciousness and spiritual life? Prabhupada said, by following all the little rules and regulations. And of course, the first one is rising early and chanting Hare Krishna. Can't change that. You do so at your own peril. And eventually you will find yourself in when you're on traveling Sankirtan, that's one thing. Everybody gets up at the same time and you have your little spiritual program. If one feels that, temple life is too strict for me, yes, go out on traveling Sankirtan. And it's a different type of austerity. You have to take bath in most austere circumstances. In some rest stop, making a mess of the restroom with a pitcher of water, and the people looking at you like you're crazy. But that's okay. So such things are there, sometimes we feel that we're not giving you the full experience of what it means. You haven't had to suffer the austerity. It's very comfortable in this temple. So, if we try to make the austerity pleasurable, you're defeating the purpose. It should be an austerity. It should be hard because it makes you tough. Other things make you soft. The Karmis have a saying, soft men make hard times. Hard men make good times. Because you don't want soft men. What can they do? Nothing. In Kali Yuga, you see that exchange right now. Men are becoming women. They're trying to become women physically. They're mentally women. They're, mannerisms of women. Why? Because they see the example that the women have it, in their mind, some easier life. A man's life is demanding. You have to do things to support the family, to actually roll up your sleeves, chop wood, when necessary, kill enemies. Were there any ladies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? Brihanala was not in the battle of Kurukshetra, but there was an example in that respect. But that's temporary mystic powers for a specific pastime. But in general, no. Women are not meant to be on the battlefield. That is for men. Women are nurturers. They're the mothers, which is why we address every woman except one's wife as mother. Doesn't matter whether they like it or not. That is the training. Otherwise there's danger. Any other questions or comments? Sunday feast demands all of our attention and surrender. But you need to come much closer, Mr. Matanga, so that they can hear, I can hear, Radha Govinda can hear.
I've seen that there are certain Vaishnavas in our movement who are pretending to be called Prabhus instead of Matatis. What is your comment on that?
Everybody's our master. That's a different story. But Prabhupada didn't teach us that. So, someone wants to change that individually in some situation, that's up to them. But in general, what we teach is what Prabhupada taught. People can make adjustments, and some people have, but that's on them. From our side, we address every woman except one's wife as mother. I've had people many times tell me, don't call me that. What's the response? Yes, mother.
Mother is a term of respect.
Of course. But these are the things that we do in order to preserve the legacy. It's not. I don't want to be the person who says that this guy started a new trend. What for? What purpose? The new trend should be that we should be, as much as possible, as close to the original mood of the spirit of Srila Prabhupada. Why would we want to deviate? Why mess with success? If it's not broken, don't fix it. Right? And we hear this all the time. Don't mess with success. If it's not broken, don't fix it. We should try to understand. Yeah, we can make, Prabhupada said, making adjustments according to time and circumstances means you are not changing the essence. If the essence is changed, then whatever you did was wrong. Cannot change the essence. The essence is that we must follow the parampara, and someone says, well, no, actually we're going to go a little sideways here. You have to be, automatically this person's off. There's the guru and the shastra, the sadhu. These are the three things. And, we have parallel, how can you say, activities of hearing and following the guru and his instructions, and the instruction that's being by his, what did we call them? His executors. Prabhupada called the GBC his executors. What is an executor? Person who carries out a will is an executor. So he named the GBC as his executors to carry out his will. And if it's a will, it means that it's unique. It's not someone else's will, it's Srila Prabhupada's will. I can't change Prabhupada's will. Then I'm no longer an executor, then I'm a thief. I'm trying to embezzle the assets. As a detective, I worked in many such cases where they're fighting over a will. People trying to change things and present false documents, or trying to get a person at their most weakest moment when their mind is no longer working to get them to change a will. We have to go back and see, because the will has to be declared in sound mind and body. Can't have it at the last moment. Anyway, these things are there. And Prabhupada declared that at the time of his directions, he was in sound mind and body. Of course, he was transcendental. He was whispering the purports of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam while he's lying, not even in his body, practically speaking. So whatever he said is as good as the law for the next 10,000 years. And this is what we've seen. Success follows those who follow the orders of the spiritual master. And ruination follows those who try to deviate, try to make something up. So don't be in that category. Try to learn to surrender. Do that which challenges you. Don't try to take the easy way out. It doesn't benefit you. It just makes you soft. It may not make you soft physically, but it makes you soft spiritually. And this is what counts. Because you can be the strongest person in the material world, but if you're soft spiritually, you're useless. Right? You're going to die just like an animal, Prabhupada said, like the dogs and the cats. Also very strong bodies. Right? You ever see? You go on these videos, you see how to defend yourself against a kangaroo. Kangaroo is a very strong body. Tear you apart. So you have to know how to handle yourself in a particular situation. It's not common. But for us, our biggest challenge is how to stay strict to our vows. A vow is not an ordinary thing. If you take it, that's why people, unfortunately, nowadays, even in so-called, spiritual societies, people don't take their vows seriously. They get married and then a few years later, I don't want this person. It's not working out. What's not working out? What did you think it was going to be? What expectations? False expectations lead to frustration. So one has to be educated, yes or no, that marriage is for the spiritual bond, not the physical bond. That may be there. One chooses carefully. He sees that there's, this person has qualities that make them desirable for devotional partnership. Not that this person likes to travel. I like to travel. Therefore, we're going to get married. No. What's the point? Has to be a shared commitment to carrying out the orders of the spiritual master and pushing on the mission. That will make it good. That vow, you never have to worry about anything else. You'll be, whatever so-called temporary disturbance may be there, is set aside for the greater good. One has to have practiced to be tolerant. And that's what does that. Why did in the Vedic time was a man married at the age of 25? Because he was a brahmachari for that entire time. Entire time practicing austerity, controlling the senses. And so some little disturbance is not going to bother him. He's already gone through everything. But some people get so frustrated and flustered over little things because it pinches their ego. Immediately they react. Because they don't have the training to control the senses. And it underlies that there's some Kama Esha, Krodha Esha. Without lust, there's no anger. No lust, no anger. Real simple. So if a person is getting angry, he's always angry, or he's prone to anger, it means he has unsatisfied lust in one form or another. And so you have to be careful for such persons. But this is, just in general, one has to follow his mentors carefully, read Prabhupada's books carefully, chant your rounds carefully, follow the instructions of the authorities carefully. They're not here to exploit you. Technically, we could go out and hire people to clean the building. What's the point? Then they get the benefit. Prabhupada said, like putting money in someone else's pocket. You're not going to get the benefit of devotional service. You're not going to get the purification. You're not going to make the advancement. You're giving it away. You're giving it away. So, but one has to have realization in that respect. That whatever I do is my positive profit. If I pick up this piece of paper or this flower petal on the floor, that's like money in the bank. It's like fractional cryptocurrency. You see how people go crazy over fractional cryptocurrency? They set up these huge endeavors. They have mines, they do that mining. To scavenge fractions. Because if you put it all together and you get one thing, and what is crypto now? 32,000, 60,000, whatever. It's something. Of course, tomorrow it could be nothing. But it is what it is. And that's what they do. But for us, picking up that flower petal on the floor is a permanent asset. Can never be lost. A little advancement on this path saves one from the greatest danger, the greatest fear. The greatest fear. But fear and danger are almost synonymous. One has to know, what is that fear? Of course, for our understanding, it's a repetition of birth and death. One has to enter again into the evolutionary cycle. Samsara Dhavanalika. This is, one loses has 8,400,000 species of life it took him to get here. Imagine how hard. You've seen people, they work so hard in it, and somehow or other they lose it and they go crazy and they commit suicide. Even in video games. They work so hard to amass certain things and all of a sudden they get hacked and somebody steals all their weapons and their accumulated treasures and they're devastated. And it's just a virtual thing. It's not real. And they're devastated. So such things are there. So we have to try to appreciate that. Find the service where you can, not just what you want. I'm just going to wait. I think there's better service coming down the road here. I'll wait an hour, 2 hours, 6 hours, 6 weeks, 6 months, a year. No. Don't wait. If you wait, Krishna sees that. Yayatama prapadyante. What does it take for us to understand this simple shloka? As you surrender unto me, I reward you accordingly. Crystal clear. At least it was to us. Crystal clear. So therefore, surrender was always encouraged. And not just conditional surrender. Unconditional. Ahoitikya pratiyata. So to that extent that you develop that attitude, to that extent your advancement will be guaranteed. Any other questions, comments? We're all ready to surrender, right? Go in the kitchen, cut vegetables for the Sunday feast, clean the toilets, clean the temple room. Good. Bhakti Dylan is right there, spot on. Thank you, Bhakti Dylan.
Thank you. I really love what you said about giving your body to, or like your body is the spiritual master's. That's not.
It belongs to him. we wear these kuntimala, like, now you see the boys, they wear their neck beads. Some people wear them tight. Sometimes you want them tight so that it reminds you, when you're out on Sankirtan, that I'm the dog of the spiritual master. I'm his servant. I shouldn't do anything foolish, which is why we keep our Sika. It automatically reminds us, yes, I shouldn't bring any embarrassment upon the spiritual master. Because people will know I'm a devotee. They'll think, oh, these Hare Krishnas, look what they're doing. Any other questions? Yes?
One brief comment.
Okay, Amoga. One more.
In the time when I joined, the temple president was the representative of Srila Prabhupada. We surrendered to the temple president as Srila Prabhupada's representative, equal to Srila Prabhupada. We would carry out the temple president's request, just like Srila Prabhupada's request. That's what Prabhupada wanted.
You know what people say? They say, that was then and this is now. But that's just an excuse. Because they don't want to follow. They think, no, I have my guru. But the guru is the intermediary. Prabhupada said in the temple, it's the temple president. He's the authority. If your guru is your temple president, yes, then he's also your authority. Your guru is there to guide you spiritually. What is his primary instruction? Follow the authority. You're in this temple, you follow that authority. You're in this temple, you follow that authority. Wherever you are, you follow the authority of the local temple. That was Prabhupada's program. It's not that there's temples within temples, programs within programs. No. The temple is one. And everything is under the temple jurisdiction. And if someone is thinking it's not, then he's in Maya. Or she's in Maya. Things cannot work like that. It has to be a unified management. If someone walked into your department, say I'm the kitchen department, and someone walked in and decided that they wanted to change things around or they wanted to do things their own way, you're going to say, why? If someone walked into the library, Arjunananda says, Arjunananda, I'm going to rearrange everything. You can just sit there. And you'll like it when I'm done. Why would he accept that? Say, Prabhu, the temple president has given me this as my Prabhudatta. Everyone knows what that means, Prabhudatta. What instruction, what place the spiritual master has given you. Technically, it means Desh means country. But where the spiritual master is giving you to preach. But sometimes that can be anything. So our Prabhudatta is New York. Sometimes it may be someplace else. It just depends. Spiritual master makes it very clear at a certain point that this is the place where you should be. But then you have to accept everything about that situation. You may not like everything. But the spiritual master wants you there, then you have to adjust your mind to the circumstances, not the other way around. Not adjust the circumstances to your mind, unless you can accomplish the same purpose. But that means you're also putting yourself above the orders of the spiritual master. Prabhupada said, if you want to please me and I ask for milk, you bring me milk. Or if I ask for water, you bring me water. Don't bring me milk. Just because you think this is better doesn't mean it's right or pleasing. Spiritual master asks for water, you bring water. There's no thing, oh, Prabhupada, I thought this would be better. We've seen many letters where Prabhupada is admonishing those who thought they were doing something better. And Prabhupada said, no. Why did you think like that? Why didn't you ask? Because they knew if they asked, Prabhupada would say no. So what does we see now, unfortunately, in many places across the globe, especially in the most famous, where everything should be perfect, we see that there's a mentality where people say it's easier to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. Of course, it's totally bogus, but that's what they say. There's very few circumstances where that would have, if you were 100% right, you knew you were right, and you knew what the outcome was. and that a bold plan executed now was better than a perfect plan executed later. But that's very rare. And you have to be a certain type of person like Srila Prabhupada. So if you're not Prabhupada, you should hesitate. There are certain things that you have to learn. We're old men now. We've read a lot. We've been through a lot. We've done many things. There's a certain ability to see things on a large scale. Prabhupada had that. It's called to see the light, Kudui. All great commanders, like Napoleon, and others, like the various Roman warriors who were able to conquer the world, even the Khan, Genghis, they were able to see things that others could not, and therefore they were victorious. So it translates, Kudui, is to see the light. But it means to be able to see everything and adjust things immediately based on this mental acuity that very few people have. To see everything and make immediate decisions and have it turn out correct. So some people say that this, and they ascribe correctly to genius. They call him military genius. And so Prabhupada was a genius. So he knew exactly what needed to be done. He had this vision. I don't think anyone will honestly say that they have that vision. So better to follow in the footsteps. This is our promise, our vow. It's to follow in the footsteps. And those of us who have taken that vow, we don't let anything divert us. And that sometimes becomes a point of contention for some. What's the term they use? Old school. This person is too old school. So we have to leave these bogus, limited vision statements behind. There's no such thing. If you're following, because indirectly, if you're saying that, you're saying that Srila Prabhupada was wrong, that he couldn't do this. No. Those who are sincere followers, they're expanding based on their ability to follow. And it's common. It says, if you want to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. And those who are good followers, they're good leaders. We've seen it. Don't try to make changes. Prabhupada said this is a disease, always changing. Don't change. Keep it pure. Purity is the force. Utility is the principle. Books are the basis and preaching is the essence. All have to be there, not just one. All. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Lord Vāmana. Wonderful incarnation we can meditate on today, and there's so much information we don't have to put it beyond what we discussed. But I encourage everyone to make listening their habit. Prabhupada said, this was my habit. What is it? To listen. To go and hear Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And also to hear those who are accurately following, not deviating. So we have full facility to hear Prabhupada all the time. All you have to do is press a switch on your phone or on your tape, on your MP3 player, whatever they call them nowadays. And you hear Prabhupada from the moment you wake up to the moment you take rest. There shouldn't be anything else. Just switch it on. The temptation is there to do something else, but switch that on. And then that temptation fades in the background. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. This can go back on.